another person and it becomes a big thing. You have to pay attention to, you have to acknowledge that first, even if you don't agree with it, in order to change it. If you don't acknowledge it, you're just going to be shooting yourself on legs. Swimming against the trend, you would drown yourself, basically.
What?
But it wasn't. It wasn't one man's perspective. And I feel you. It's a lot of YouTube trends and a lot of this, that, and that.
Did you hear ladies start saying they want a high value man?
No, he made it a trend.
It's no such thing as high value. It's something that a YouTuber made up. Let's keep it funky. If you go ahead and you Google the definition of high value, you know what I'm saying? It's some YouTube, some quote of YouTuber made popular. And that's not taking nothing away from him, right? Salute. But at the end of the day, we're trying to argue about somebody's perception on what's a high value man. And this is why we're always, look at this nigga over here, goddamn. Go ahead, come off mute so you can scream.
Well, Logic, didn't a lot of stuff that we say now coin from like people or social media?
No, listen what I'm saying. This is why we're having a problem with this whole term, because this was one man perspective of what?
But it wasn't. It wasn't one man's perspective. And I feel you. It's a lot of YouTube trends and a lot of this, that, and that.
Did you hear ladies start saying they want a high value man?
No, he made it a trend.
All right, so let's dissect this. First of all, the first thing he said is that, I think he said high value if you Google it and stuff like that, right? Let me show you what happens when you Google it. I'm going to use that to make a point. Okay, let me show you what happens when you Google it. Okay, if you Google high value, this is what comes up. Okay, when you scroll down, I didn't even say high value man, I just said high value, right? You see this company here, acponline.org, right? Then you see a bunch of what does high value mean, and if you go here, what to consider as very important, right? Yeah, consider you the perceiver, to consider something or perceive something of high value, right? But when you go down here, what do you see? You see Kevin Samuel's video at the top, that video that I talked about earlier, right? And then you also see a DJ Vlad video with guess who in it? Kevin Samuels, right? And then you also see Real Men, Real Style, how to become a high value man. What this is a YouTube channel that I follow as well. He talks about fashion and stuff like that for men. But why is he doing this? Because this term became popular because of guess who? This guy, right? This is some of the reality we have to learn how to pay attention to men, right? Don't talk to me about reality if you're not valuing emotions and feelings. Your perception of emotions and feelings is the very top of it, because that's all people care about, their emotions and their feelings. If you're not going to say that, you don't know what value means. You don't know how to interact with human beings. You don't understand power and influence. That's what it tells me. If you say shit like facts over feelings, you don't understand power and influence. Okay? You need to go back to school. All right, good. So that's what we see everywhere. So if you Google it, you literally see this guys. You see his
It's no such.
You see his brand took over everywhere. What is the lesson I'm trying to pull out of that, right? Meanings of words change over time. Stop putting us on this pedestal. Meaning, love, meanings are word meanings are important. That's nonsense. That's complete nonsense. They're just as important as the society that uses it. Any of those words. Any of those words I'm using right now to speak to you can change meanings over time. How do I know? Because we're speaking slangs. That's human beings. We evolve. Where does don't cap come from? Don't cap. So stop capping. Stop capping. Where does that come from? I don't even know where it came from, but I'm using it, right? What is cap rate in real estate? What is capping when it comes to business, right? It changes meanings from one dimension to the other, right? Capitalism. Some people means capitalism. Some people means the actual cap. Meanings of word vary. It changes depending on the context. What matters the most is context. And in this context, this conversation is big because of this one guy. That's just the bottom line. And we can't cap about that. It doesn't matter if you like him or not. Gentlemen, we can't. And these are sizable books. They're minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3 times author. And those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical book like that, it doesn't mean you're exonerating him of his flaws. He will deal with this. That's between him and God, right? But the reality is, if somebody makes something popular and everybody's talking about it, you have to pay attention to that. Do women say they want high value? No, they don't say that. They don't have to say that. Before you know that women are naturally hypergamy. Hypergamy is not all hypergamous rather. It's not always about money. Sometimes it's status, money. Bottom line is that a typical woman, you see, I didn't say all, right? A typical woman enjoys the idea that they can look up to their man. That's the reality. That's not something they decide. A lot of lame people are running around the internet acting like women just want to hurt men by being hypergamy. That's not how that works. It's just socialization. It's just the way it's always been. It's still that way. Maybe 50 years from now it'll be different because of the way we're behaving right now. But right now, you're going to hurt yourself if you're going to resent women if you feel like they just deliberately want to hurt you by taking your money and running. They just want to marry you, take your money, and run. Do they effectively do that sometimes? Yes, because there are circumstances between point A and point B. We're just going to cap. We're not going to talk about that, right? Let's go back to the video.
Thing is high value. It's something that a YouTuber made up.
Everything is made up. Every word I'm saying right now is coming from the 26 alphabets. Everything is made up, bro. But for survival, so we can communicate, so we can take care of our basic human, physical, and emotional needs. So you're not saying anything new.
Let's keep it funky. If you go ahead and you Google the definition of high value, you know what I'm saying? It's some YouTube, some quote of YouTuber made popular, and that's not taking nothing away from him, right?
Well, you just did. You just did. And I just Googled it. You circle back to the same person you're trying to avoid or not give them credit. You don't have to not give them credit or give them credit. You have to learn as a man to say it is what it is. He made it popular. It became a thing. He made it a thing. Guess what? Young girls are saying, high value. Are you a high value man? Somebody asked me yesterday, are you an alpha male? I'm like, what is that? But it's a thing. People are talking about it, right?
Salute. But at the end of the day,
salute, but gentlemen, anytime you say something and you say but after that, you negate everything you said before that. Why does it matter? Because it's emotionally charged conversation. You need to be aware of that. Okay? The other person will receive it as you're negating everything you said. You say something, but you say but, you can erase everything you said before that. Yeah. It's like saying I'm sorry, but
we're trying to argue about somebody perception on what's a high value man. And this is why we're always look at this nigga.
So somebody's perception of a high value man, and he did it so much and he was able to build 1.4 million subscribers and more people that are following him everywhere, and they're running with it. And clearly he was hitting a nerve, right? Clearly somebody is following him, right? So even if you don't agree with it, if you're going to change that, you need to acknowledge it first. Made up, it's just a YouTube thing. What's a YouTube thing? That's the second biggest website in the world. What do you mean? Just
nigga
here, goddamn. Go ahead, come off mute so you can scream.
The logic, didn't a lot of stuff that we say now coin from like people or social media?
No, listen what I'm saying. This is why we're having a problem with this whole term, because this was one man perspective of.
It's not just one man. It's a man with a lot of followers. It's an extremely powerful man by the time he passed away. It's just what it is. And when you have a lot of followers, that's just the reality. That means you can say and somebody will run with it, and then another person, and it becomes a big thing. You have to pay attention to. You have to acknowledge that first, even if you don't agree with it, in order to change it. If you don't acknowledge it, you're just going to be shooting yourself on the leg. It's swimming against the trend. You would drown yourself, basically.
What?
But it wasn't one man's perspective. And I feel you, it's a lot of YouTube trends and a lot of this and that.
Did you hear ladies start saying they want a high value man?
No, he made it a trend.